It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Niccolo Machiavelli, they tell you to be yourself. A comforting lie whispered by those who benefit from your predictable nature. But raw authenticity is a liability. It is the unguarded gate to your weaknesses, readily exploited by those who understand the game being played. We are not interested in fleeting validation. We seek enduring power, the kind earned through deliberate action, not naive self-expression. This is not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about consciously crafting the persona best suited to dominate each arena you enter. Think of it as selecting the right weapon for the right battle. A master swordsman doesn't wield a broadsword in a narrow corridor, nor a dagger on an open field. He adapts, he calculates, he wins. The world rewards those who understand its hidden mechanics, not those who blindly stumble through, hoping for the best. Sentimentality is a luxury you cannot afford. Every interaction is a transaction, every relationship a negotiation. This is not cynicism, it's clarity. See people for what they are, not what you wish them to be. Their flaws are not endearing quirks, but leverage points. Their vulnerabilities are not invitations for sympathy, but opportunities for control. This understanding is the bedrock upon which you build your influence. It allows you to anticipate their moves, manipulate their desires, and ultimately dictate their actions. Consider the chess master. He doesn't just move pieces randomly, hoping for a lucky checkmate. He analyzes the board, anticipates his opponent's strategies, and sacrifices pawns to secure a decisive advantage. Every move is calculated, every piece expendable in the pursuit of victory. You must approach life with the same ruthless precision. Your emotions are pawns to be deployed strategically, not uncontrolled forces that dictate your actions. Your relationships are pieces on the board, to be maneuvered and sacrificed as necessary to achieve your ultimate goals. They preach the virtues of transparency, urging you to lay bare your soul for all to see. This is a trap. Transparency is vulnerability. It allows your enemies to see your weaknesses, your fears, your desires. Cloak yourself in ambiguity. Let your intentions remain shrouded in mystery. Give them nothing to latch onto, nothing to exploit. Keep them guessing, keep them off balance, keep them under your control. The less they know, the more powerful you become. Embrace the mask, not as a tool for deception, but as a shield against manipulation. It allows you to present the face the world needs to see, while concealing the true self that lies beneath. This is not about being fake, it's about being strategic. It's about understanding the power of perception and using it to your advantage. Master the art of calculated performance. Learn to project confidence even when you feel fear. Learn to feign empathy even when you feel contempt. Learn to control your emotions even when you feel rage. This is the path to true power. The sheep bleat about morality, shackled by their self-imposed constraints. They cling to their illusions of fairness and justice, while the wolves circle, waiting for an opportunity to devour them. We are not sheep. We are not bound by the same naive morality. We understand that the world is a battlefield, and that the only rule that truly matters is survival. This is not to say that you should abandon all ethics. Rather, you should develop your own code, one that serves your interests and allows you to navigate the treacherous landscape of power. Discard the notion of inherent goodness. People are driven by self-interest, by a primal desire for power and control. Understanding this fundamental truth is the key to understanding their actions. Don't be swayed by their appeals to morality or their displays of emotion. See them for what they are, strategic actors constantly vying for dominance. The world isn't fair, but it can be mastered. Embrace the darkness and you will find the light. Understand that every interaction is a negotiation, every relationship a power dynamic in disguise. Observe how people posture, how they angle for advantage, how they subtly attempt to control the flow of conversation. Most are unaware of their own machinations, blindly driven by instinct. You, however, will be different. You will be conscious, deliberate, a master of the game. Analyze every word, every gesture, every silence. Decipher the hidden motives that lie beneath the surface. See the world as it truly is, a complex web of influence where every action has a consequence. Never assume good intentions. Instead, operate from a place of cautious skepticism, always prepared for betrayal. This is not paranoia, it is prudence. It is the only way to protect yourself from those who would exploit your weakness. The world rewards those who are prepared and punishes those who are naive. Cultivate the ability to detach yourself from emotional reactions. Emotions are weaknesses, vulnerabilities that can be exploited by your enemies. Learn to observe your own feelings with cold, clinical detachment, as if they were the emotions of another person. Analyze them, understand them, and then control them. Never allow your emotions to dictate your actions. Instead, let reason be your guide. This is not to say that you should become a robot devoid of all feeling. Rather, you should learn to master your emotions, to use them as tools when necessary, and to suppress them when they are a hindrance. Emotional control is the key to maintaining composure under pressure, to making rational decisions in the heat of the moment. It is the cornerstone of true strength. Embrace the power of deception. Learn to lie convincingly, to manipulate perceptions, to create illusions that serve your purposes. This is not about being inherently dishonest. It is about understanding that truth is a weapon, and that sometimes it is necessary to conceal it in order to achieve your goals. A skilled liar can control the narrative, shaping the opinions of others and influencing their actions. But be warned, deception is a dangerous game. It requires careful planning, meticulous execution, and an unwavering commitment to maintaining your facade. One slip-up can shatter your carefully constructed illusion, exposing your true intentions and leaving you vulnerable to attack. Therefore, use deception sparingly, and only when the stakes are high enough to justify the risk. Study the art of manipulation. Learn to identify the psychological vulnerabilities of others and to exploit them for your own gain. Everyone has weaknesses, insecurities, desires, fears. A skilled manipulator can identify these weaknesses and use them to control the thoughts and actions of others. This is not about bullying or coercion. It is about subtle persuasion, about planting ideas in their minds and leading them to believe that they are acting of their own free will. The most effective manipulation is the kind that is invisible, the kind that leaves the victim feeling as though they have made their own choices. Master this art and you will be able to bend the world to your will. But remember, manipulation is a double-edged sword. It can be used for good or for evil, to build or to destroy. The choice is yours. Develop the ability to read people. Learn to decipher their body language, their facial expressions, their tone of voice. These subtle cues can reveal their true intentions, their hidden emotions, their deepest secrets. A skilled observer can see through their carefully constructed facades and understand what they are really thinking and feeling. This is not mind reading, it is simply paying attention. It is about noticing the small details that others miss and using them to gain an advantage. Observe people in different situations and learn to identify the patterns in their behavior. The more you observe, the better you will become at predicting their actions. This is the key to anticipating their moves and staying one step ahead of the game. The world is full of open books, waiting to be read. All you have to do is learn how to decipher the code. Never reveal your true intentions. Keep your cards close to your chest and let others underestimate you. The element of surprise is a powerful weapon. When your enemies are expecting one thing, you can deliver another, catching them off guard and leaving them vulnerable to attack. Silence is your ally. Learn to listen more than you speak and to observe more than you act. The less you reveal, the more power you retain. Let others talk. Let them expose their weaknesses. Let them reveal their strategies. While they are busy boasting, you are busy planning. While they are busy acting, you are busy observing. And when the time is right, you will strike with precision and decisiveness, leaving them wondering what hit them. True power lies in the ability to control information, to withhold it from your enemies, and to use it to your advantage. Cultivate a reputation for ruthlessness. Let others know that you are not to be trifled with, that you are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve your goals. This is not about being a bully or a tyrant. It is about establishing boundaries, about sending a clear message that you will not tolerate disrespect or betrayal. A reputation for ruthlessness can deter your enemies from attacking you in the first place, saving you the trouble of having to defend yourself. But be warned, a reputation for ruthlessness can also make you a target. Others may fear you, but they may also resent you, and they may be looking for an opportunity to bring you down. Therefore, use ruthlessness strategically and only when necessary. The goal is not to be feared, but to be respected. Understand the importance of alliances. No one can achieve true power alone. You need allies, people who are willing to support you and to fight alongside you. But choose your allies carefully. Loyalty is a rare and precious commodity, and it is not to be taken for granted. Look for people who are competent, ambitious, and trustworthy, people who share your values and your goals. But be aware that alliances are always temporary. Circumstances change and loyalties shift. Never become too reliant on any one ally, and always be prepared to adapt to changing circumstances. The key to maintaining strong alliances is to offer something of value in return. Whether it is power, resources, or protection, you must be able to provide something that your allies need. Reciprocity is the foundation of all successful relationships. Consider the case of a rising executive in a major corporation, a man named Edward. He possessed an unusual blend of intelligence, charisma, and an almost unnerving ability to dissect human motivation. Edward was not born into wealth or privilege. He clawed his way up, mastering the subtle arts of office politics and corporate strategy. He understood that in the modern business world, power was not simply granted, it was seized. Edward identified a critical weakness within his department, a lack of innovation. The department had grown complacent, relying on outdated methods and failing to adapt to the rapidly changing market. He saw this as an opportunity, not just to improve the department, but to position himself as the indispensable leader. Edward began by quietly gathering information. He observed his colleagues, noting their strengths, weaknesses, and hidden agendas. He identified key influencers, individuals who held sway over the opinions and decisions of others. He also pinpointed those who were resistant to change, those who clung to the old ways and actively sabotaged new initiatives. Edward did not confront these individuals directly. Instead, he used his understanding of their motivations against them. He subtly undermined their authority, exposing their flaws and exaggerating their failures. He did this with a calculated precision, never leaving any trace of his involvement. He cultivated relationships with those who were open to change, offering them support and recognition. He championed their ideas, giving them a platform to showcase their talents. In doing so, he created a loyal following, a group of individuals who saw him as their champion and their advocate. Simultaneously, Edward began to develop a plan for revitalizing the department. He researched new technologies, studied market trends, and consulted with industry experts. He crafted a comprehensive strategy that addressed the department's weaknesses and capitalized on its strengths. He presented this plan to his superiors, highlighting the potential for increased revenue and reduced costs. He framed the plan as a necessary step for the company's survival, emphasizing the risks of inaction. His superiors were impressed. They saw him as a visionary leader, a man who was capable of turning the department around. They gave him the green light to implement his plan. With the backing of his superiors, Edward moved swiftly. He reorganized the department, assigning new roles and responsibilities. He promoted his allies and demoted his rivals. He implemented new technologies and processes, streamlining operations and improving efficiency. He rewarded innovation and punished mediocrity. He created a culture of accountability, where everyone was held responsible for their performance. Those who resisted his changes were either forced out or marginalized. Edward was ruthless in his pursuit of progress. He did not hesitate to make difficult decisions, even if it meant sacrificing the careers of others. He understood that in the corporate world, sentimentality was a weakness. The only thing that mattered was results. His actions generated resentment and animosity. Those who had been displaced or marginalized plotted against him. They spread rumors, undermined his authority, and attempted to sabotage his initiatives. Edward anticipated this. He had cultivated a network of informants who kept him apprised of his enemies' activities. He used this information to preempt their attacks, discrediting them and neutralizing their threats. He maintained a calm and composed demeanor, never allowing his emotions to betray him. He understood that in the face of adversity, strength lay in self-control. Edward did not seek to be loved. He sought to be respected and, more importantly, to be feared. Within a year, the department had undergone a complete transformation. Revenue had increased, costs had decreased, and morale had improved. Edward was hailed as a hero. He was promoted to a higher position, with even greater authority and responsibility. He had achieved his goals through a combination of intelligence, charisma, and ruthlessness. He had demonstrated that in the modern business world, power was not just about competence, it was about strategy. It was about understanding human motivation, manipulating situations to your advantage, and being willing to do whatever it takes to win. Edward's success was not celebrated by all. Many saw him as a cold and calculating opportunist, a man who had sacrificed his humanity for the sake of power. But Edward did not care. He had achieved his goals, and that was all that mattered. He understood that in the pursuit of power, there would always be casualties. He was simply willing to accept that price. His story serves as a chilling reminder of the ruthless nature of power and the lengths to which some will go to achieve it. This example illustrates how strategic ruthlessness, while ethically questionable, can be deployed in the real world to achieve tangible results. It is a demonstration of the principles outlined previously: the calculated assessment of weakness, the strategic deployment of allies, and the willingness to make difficult choices in pursuit of a defined objective. The most common failure lies in a fundamental misunderstanding of power itself. The weak believe power is a possession, a trophy to be displayed, rather than a force to be wielded. They hoard resources, information, and influence, clinging to them with a desperate grip, fearing that any concession will diminish their own standing. This miserly approach creates bottlenecks, stifles innovation, and ultimately makes them vulnerable. Their fear betrays them. It telegraphs their insecurity and invites challenges from those who are more adept at leveraging resources, even if those resources are initially smaller. Picture a miser guarding a chest overflowing with gold, paralyzed by the fear of losing a single coin, while a shrewd merchant nearby uses a modest investment to generate a continuous stream of wealth. Another trap is the assumption of inherent goodness. The weak often operate under the naive belief that merit alone will be recognized and rewarded. They diligently perform their duties, trusting that their hard work will inevitably lead to advancement. They are blind to the political currents swirling around them, oblivious to the subtle maneuvering of rivals who are actively shaping perceptions and alliances. They are like a skilled craftsman, meticulously crafting a beautiful object in a darkened room, unaware that a rival is outside, subtly influencing the market to favor a competing design. The world does not automatically reward competence. It rewards those who are skilled at communicating their value and navigating the complex web of human relationships. Furthermore, the weak are often crippled by a fear of confrontation. They avoid conflict at all costs, hoping that problems will simply resolve themselves or that others will step in to take responsibility. This avoidance creates a vacuum that is quickly filled by those who are more assertive and willing to seize control. They mistake passivity for diplomacy, failing to recognize that sometimes decisive action is necessary to protect their interests. Imagine two wolves circling a carcass. One hesitates, fearful of a fight, while the other charges in, securing the meal. The weak wolf, driven by fear, will starve. Emotional reasoning is another debilitating flaw. The weak allow their feelings to dictate their actions, reacting impulsively to perceived slights or injustices. They are easily manipulated by appeals to their emotions, becoming pawns in the schemes of others. Their judgment is clouded by anger, fear, or resentment, preventing them from making rational decisions. Picture a gambler, driven by desperation after a series of losses, doubling down on a foolish bet, hoping to recoup their losses. Their emotions override their logic, leading them to further ruin. The inability to see the larger game is also a significant impediment. The weak focus on immediate tasks and short-term goals, failing to anticipate future challenges or opportunities. They are like chess players who only look one move ahead, oblivious to the long-term strategic implications of their actions. They are easily outmaneuvered by those who are capable of thinking several steps ahead, anticipating their moves and preparing countermeasures. Their myopic vision blinds them to the unfolding power dynamics, leaving them vulnerable to exploitation. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, the weak lack self-awareness. They are blind to their own flaws and weaknesses, unwilling to acknowledge their limitations. They overestimate their abilities and underestimate the challenges they face. This lack of self-awareness prevents them from learning and growing, perpetuating a cycle of failure. They are like a ship captain who refuses to acknowledge a faulty compass, stubbornly clinging to a false sense of direction, leading their vessel towards inevitable disaster. True power begins with a ruthless assessment of oneself, a willingness to confront one's shortcomings, and a relentless pursuit of self-improvement. Only through such rigorous self-examination can one hope to navigate the treacherous currents of power and avoid the pitfalls that await the unwary. The Machiavellian strategy, in its essence, is about understanding and manipulating the levers of power. It is not about brute force or intimidation, but about subtle maneuvering and calculated action. The successful player understands that power is a game of perception, where appearances often matter more than reality. They cultivate an image of competence and control, even when they are operating in uncertain territory. They master the art of deception, using carefully crafted lies and half-truths to mislead their opponents and advance their own interests. They understand that trust is a valuable commodity, but one that should be given sparingly and strategically. They are adept at identifying and exploiting the weaknesses of others, using their vulnerabilities to gain an advantage. This is not to say that they are inherently malicious or cruel, but rather that they are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve their objectives. They operate with a cold, detached rationality, devoid of sentimentality or moral compunction. Their actions are guided by a single principle: the acquisition and maintenance of power. They understand that the world is a competitive arena where only the strong survive. They are prepared to fight for their place, using every tool at their disposal. Consider the analogy of a skilled diplomat navigating a complex web of international relations. They must be able to read the intentions of other nations, anticipate their moves, and formulate strategies to protect their own country's interests. They must be adept at negotiation, compromise, and coercion. They must be able to build alliances and exploit rivalries. They must be willing to use propaganda and misinformation to shape public opinion. Their ultimate goal is to advance their country's power and influence on the world stage. Similarly, the Machiavellian strategist must be able to navigate the complex social dynamics of their own environment, whether it be a corporate boardroom, a political campaign, or a personal relationship. They must be able to understand the motivations of others, anticipate their reactions, and formulate strategies to achieve their own goals. They must be adept at persuasion, manipulation, and deception. They must be willing to use any means necessary to gain an advantage. A key element of the Machiavellian approach is the ability to cultivate a network of informants and allies. Information is power, and the strategist who has access to reliable intelligence is at a significant advantage. They must be able to identify individuals who are willing to provide them with valuable insights, whether it be out of loyalty, self-interest, or fear. They must be able to cultivate these relationships, offering rewards and incentives in exchange for information. They must also be careful to protect their sources, ensuring that their identities are not revealed. A network of allies can provide support and assistance when needed, helping the strategist to overcome obstacles and achieve their objectives. These alliances are not necessarily based on genuine friendship or affection, but rather on mutual self-interest. Each member of the alliance benefits from the relationship, whether it be through access to resources, protection from enemies, or advancement of their own goals. Furthermore, the Machiavellian strategist understands the importance of controlling the narrative. They recognize that perception is reality, and that those who control the flow of information are able to shape public opinion and influence events. They are adept at crafting messages that resonate with their target audience, using emotional appeals and persuasive rhetoric to sway their beliefs and actions. They are also skilled at suppressing dissenting voices, using censorship, intimidation, and propaganda to silence their critics. They understand that the truth is often irrelevant, and that what matters is what people believe to be true. They are willing to manipulate the facts, distort the evidence, and spread misinformation in order to achieve their objectives. The control of narrative extends to self-presentation. A carefully constructed persona, masking true intentions behind calculated charm or intimidating stoicism, is essential. This projected image becomes the reality for those who interact with the strategist, allowing them to control the reactions and expectations of others. Consider the example of a CEO who is trying